Hello and welcome everybody to this edition of the Buy Around, brought to you by your host James Graham. Today's very special guest, Mark Spudd Carroll. First off, mate, thank you for joining us here on the Buy Around. I've been doing, obviously we've met each other around the traps. I've been doing a little bit of research on you. I don't know what I'm more interested in. You're on field or you're off field. So we've got plenty to get through. So I reckon how'd you get the name Spudd?
Well, firstly, why is it taking so long for me to come on? I've heard of all the other ones. The big pommy Sam Burgess was here, but I'm rapt to be here, mate, getting questioned by yourself. But yeah, nickname come about when I was a young kid growing out in Greystanes. My dream was always to play rugby league, and I finally got graded when I was 19, and it was at Penrith. I'm what they call a Parramatta junior, but Parramatta shafted me as a kid. Well, then that was the age of 14. I then went to the dark side, played rugby union for 2 years. People think, geez, rugby union, how could you play it? But back then I was a fullback and I was a centre. And then I played 5'8" up until I was the age of 18, up against MG, Mark Guy. He played for St. Pat's. I played for St. Pat's at Blacktown. And my dream was always to play footy. And then I had an opportunity and I started dealing with a life coach / mentor. And to try and get into the game, I wanted the extra. So he goes, I think you should go and read some magazines and then you might be able to learn of how to train better. And I've read a magazine, Muscle Magazine, about, energy, eat potatoes. I went, I love potatoes. So I finally cracked first grade, but it was off the bench. And my procedure was I used to eat 16 big potatoes. I'm talking about big babies, the big puppers, 4 at a time. And that's all I ate, and water. And I had this great game. But on the other side of it was, I've spoken about knowing your job. My job was to go forward. So I had this thing about doing 20 carries, 20 tackles. If you can do that every game, you're going to be in the game. Yeah. And I did that. And I stood out like dog's balls. And Peter Flingos come up to me, and he's now passed away. And he said, mate, what's the secret? You've just done 20 carries, 20 tackles. And I went, I must be the potatoes. He goes, what do you mean? I said, well, mate, I eat 16 potatoes.
A day
On the day of the game.
Just purely game day.
On the day.
It for game day.
So you won't believe it.
Hang on. Kick-off would be 3 o'clock then?
Yeah.
And you got to get 16 in?
Yeah, from 7 a.m, mate, just punching them in. I'll tell you what, the S-Bends got hammered. Mate, don't ever try it. They make your guts crook. But mentally, James, I'm thinking these are good for me, okay? So I do the carries, but the crazy thing was, how you get a nickname? I'm working back then. I was working for Alcan, putting roofing up, and I get a phone call, and my mum goes, Mark, you've got to come home. There's the Daily Telegraph at the front porch, and there's bags and bags of potatoes. So I flew home, and I got a photo of like munching into a big thing of potatoes. So how do you get a nickname? So I left Penrith, and my nickname to my mates is Boxhead, and I always had a flat top back then, and I went to South, and they said, here comes Spudd. I looked at my shoulder and I went, you dickhead, you're the one who eats all the potatoes. So I thought, okay, I've got a nickname, Spudd, how good's that? And me being a bit of a wanker, I tried to get my car with Spudd number plates, S-P-U-D, but unfortunately someone had those. So I made my own spelling, S-P-U-D-D, and I've had it ever since.
Double D's, eh?
Double D's, double D batteries, everything's double D, but yeah, that's how you get a nickname.
Yeah, nice. Mate, that's you know what that is? The power of placebo. You made a connection. Like a lot of sports people have, routines that they go through, or superstitions, all that sort of stuff that has no scientific background for the performance, but it's just a mental thing. And perhaps that's what it was. It was just a mental placebo that I need to eat these 16 potatoes, despite what it would be. It actually probably had a negative effect on your 100%. Athletic ability.
But now, if you read now, after we'd all retired, potatoes are bad for you. Only sweet potatoes are good. I was eating the big white ones, but the amount of really amazing food I had to miss out on when we were in camps, especially when you're playing for New South Wales and Australia, they're eating seafood. Before a game, I'm eating bloody potatoes.
So this continued on for your whole career?
My whole career, up until I went to London Broncos. I just couldn't be bothered eating them over there. But all the way through my whole career. No, well, mate, listen to me. The background of me also, mate. My mum is she's a pom. She's from Manchester. My mum was only close to 5 foot tall, and I was a 10-pound baby. That would have bloody hurt her, poor bugger. But my mum, she yeah, she always said to my dad, they put me in soccer, and all I did was dig holes. And when you get your boots, you're digging holes and just run around in circles. And Mum goes, mate, this kid hasn't got brains for soccer. Let's put him in the rugby league, and I've got to thank my mum for that.
Man, I am still like, I had my routines. I was bad, but far out.
I was shocking.
Was there a particular way you had the potatoes? Mashed, boiled, broiled, chipped?
No. They'll boil. I still remember putting in paper towels in the microwave 4 at a time, then put the knife, and then plenty of butter. Just ripped into them like water. One of those eating contests. I reckon I would have been. I love contests about everything. I'm so competitive now. Like even steak sandwiches or sausage sandwiches, I'll take you on. But it was just one of those things. But I look back now. Oh, my poor wife had to put up with girlfriend and wife the superstitions before a game. I don't know what you were like, man. That was horrible. So if I got man of the match, I'd remember the whole week, Monday, Tuesday, all the way back to the game day. So I knew on a Tuesday what to wear, Wednesday, Thursday. If I ate at a certain restaurant, which I did in Maryland's, I'd go and eat the same food at the same time. I'd park my car at the same spot. If someone was in my car spot, I'd wait till he moved. If someone was in my seat, I'd wait an hour. I'd wait an hour. And my wife's just going, you're an idiot. But it was all about the procedure,
No, routines are great, but hey, I'm obviously out of that now, and I look back at some of like the way I used to be around certain types of food at certain times of the day in that build up to game day. And you're like, what on earth were you thinking?
I know, mate. I know, but I'm now after footy. Now I've got, I've had a business now going on 17 years. Have I got procedures? Yes, I have. So every day, if I wake up at 4:30 in the morning. Every day I have a different watch. So today is black watch, and then tomorrow will be I've got the Thursday watch, Friday watch, then I've got weekend watches. I'm a weird dude. But it's all about procedures.
I like that, and I don't mind. Okay, each day has a watch, but mate, you've got to look back and think that's bananas the way we used to be in terms of like you genuinely take it personally that this is going to have an effect on my performance. So I know what it's like. If the peanut butter wasn't crunchy and it was smooth, I can remember getting like being in a hotel and I asked, "Oh, can I get some peanut butter for this crumpet or this toast?" And they brought out this smooth. I said, "Oh, do you have any crunchy?" And they were like, "Oh, that's all we've got. Sorry, sir." And I was like,
"Plays with your mind." Yeah.
I could feel the anxiety. And I had to go and source my own.
Wow.
Because what difference did it make if it was crunchy or smooth?
Yeah.
Like, it was not going to have an effect on the performance. Or perhaps it was. Perhaps that's just that psyche of the athlete. It's that preparation where you need to hang your hat on something. I'm not sure. It sounds crazy. I'm still undecided. Maybe someone could come and teach us a thing or two about that, about the power of placebo, the power of, routine or superstition, even though it's rubbish for your performance or no difference.
Well, even these days now, James, that you talk about placebo effect, you've got a headache, right? No, I've got a headache, mate. And you give the bloke 2 tablets. And you half hour, mate, how's your headache? Oh, mate, it's gone. Mate, those sugar tablets. It's a placebo effect. You don't know what you're taking, but the other people you've interviewed, have you had the same sort of talk about what we're talking about? Because I can't believe I've actually got like a double here. I think we've done the same sort of stuff, and we're on the same path of what we had to do. Like it was our game to be the leader and dominate through the middle, but also just to take it for the team.
Yeah, and there's a little bit of crazy that comes with playing in the front row as well. And I think people just leave you alone. Like they're not gonna question you for freaking out about only having a certain number of potatoes or doing this on a Thursday or whatever it may be. I used to be adamant about the way I'd get dressed on game day. Didn't want to put my jersey on until after warm up. Like just all these little things, and it's that little bit of crazy that I think sets us apart. That's why you make it as sports people and not as business people, because you've got that little bit of crazy.
No, you got to be crazy, don't you? But the thing is, I've built up to a game. On the way there, I'd always have Joe Satriani, just mad lead guitar. My wife's just got, she's got cans on her ears. But my procedure game day was every ground I went to, I had to sit in exactly the same spot. And if someone's had their bag, I'd just throw it. Throw it, put it against the wall. But I remember at Manly, my latest piece of armour, as you talk about, was my jersey, okay? And I used to have, back then when I got the Manly, I wasn't allowed to wear, back then I used to wear shoulder pads, headgear, and Bozo said, right, you're getting rid of the shoulder pads, headgear, and I had a mullet, I had to cut me bloody hair and take me mow off as well, but I kept my number plates. He goes, you're getting rid of those plates, and I kept them. But on game day, I had these shoulder pads put in, and the bloke, Sheriff, unfortunately, he's passed away. The Sheriff he'd put these padded things inside my shoulder, inside my jersey, and I knew exactly where he left it. But blokes like Hopewadi and Craig Hancock would go and hide it. That was their way of relaxing, watching me ripping the shed apart before a game. But my procedure was always I go in there and go and do the last, wee at the time, and I'd then come up and I've got the shorts on, bare chest. So I'd just slap myself with that much bloody water. And I was like, hey, I'm here, Lois. And then I'd look for my jersey and I'd be going, jersey, where is my jersey? But that was my thing. And it was like my piece of armour. And my thing, my dad always said to me, unfortunately I lost my dad last year, but Dad never played rugby league, but he knew everything. And he said, tuck everything in. So I was always, the socks were up, always taped. Jersey never came out. And I always tucked my collar in, old school. Now they've got no bloody collars. So that was my thing game day.
I like that. It's funny you say that because my old man, he didn't play rugby league. He was always a fan. But his only advice he ever gave to me, don't let me ever see you tying your shoelaces on that field, because it's his one pet hate that he despised. So he didn't ever want to see me tying my laces. So I used to cake my boots in electrical tape.
Exactly.
Because God forbid,
God
forbid, I'd be down on that field tying my laces, and it never happened. And I'm so thankful, because he would have scolded me. Not that he was, that intimidating character, but that was his thing. And I don't know if it was by design, but it always helped me. It's funny hearing you talk about your time at Manly and some of the characters there. I think, getting wound up on a game day, that was a no-go area for me. So it's funny to hear that you took it so well. But it's almost, I think it's tomorrow is the anniversary of your premiership win there.
Yeah?
Yeah.
You know more than me.
Yeah, well.
96.
Yeah.
You've had a few whacks, mate. Do your maths. Yep, it was. Thank you. Just great memories. I said, as a kid, you dream about playing footy. My side was Parramatta. They're talking about Parramatta now in the grand final. Ray Price used to go to his house. He used to live on Macquarie Street at Greystanes, knock on the door, get his autograph. Ray Price, so I could practice his autograph, and then you get your footy cards. And I used to love Parramatta. And I got shafted as a kid, as I said, and I ended up going through the path of Penrith. But when you make first grade, then you start setting some more goals. People don't know what a goal is. A goal is something you can achieve. You've got to make it achievable. You're not going to be the Prime Minister of Australia. It's going to take your time. But I played first grade. I wanted to be competitive at first grade, week in, week out. That's why I went to South. I had MG. I had John Cartwright ahead of me. I was a back rower back then. I was in second rower. Walked into South, and George Pickens was the coach back then. And I found it very intimidating, because one of my idols back then, I tried to look like him, was Les Davison, big bundy. Mate, he could whack, but he had the mow, he had the long hair, and I walked in, Mario Fennick was there, and Craig Coleman and Wayne Chisholm, and George came up and said, I want to turn you into a front rower. I said, mate, George, I'm here to learn. And that year, we only won 2 games that year, but my goal was to always just be the best out there. Do me 20 carries, 20 tackles, and be in the top 3 players every game, and how it's panned out, I ended up doing that, mate. And mid-year, we had a game against Manly versus South at the Sydney Football Stadium. And as I said, my dad he had a few things he'd say. One of his things was, never show your hurt, always get up. So I was more worried about my dad jumping the fence, kicking me up the arse. The other one was, he rung up and he gave me a couple of people to bash. I can't say it any better than that. I used to love whacking blokes. And one was Ian Roberts. He left Manly to go. He left South to go to Manly that year. And Martin Bella. I didn't like Martin Bella. I wanted to bash that bloke. Anyway, Dad didn't have to mention his name. And he then said, son, remember, it's a 1990. Bozo's Bob Fulton's in the stand. He's the coach of the Australian side. Kangaroo Tour, because my goal was to try and make the Kangaroo Tour in 1990. Anyway, as the game panned out, we were getting beaten, but there was a play they had And I remember watching videos. I used to do videos of my own, and the ball went from one side to another to a bloke called Matt Dunford, who's a mate of mine now. And he turned the ball back inside of Robbo coming through the middle. Mate, and if I look at this tackle now, it's probably the best tackle I've made. I've hit him that bloody hard, bang, and his legs have come down and he's landed on his back. But what happened, the boys then come down, because he played for South the year before, so, you get your mates, you want to give him a bit of a rabbit chop, boom. Anyway, we lost that game. The crazy thing about it, the next day I was at work, and back then there was no mobiles. We're talking the 90s, right? And the lady come out, it's 9 o'clock in the morning, and she goes, oh, which one's Mark? I said, yeah, me, love. She goes, oh, there's a phone call for you. Somehow they've found where I am. And I've gone in there with trepidation thinking, shit, someone's dead. Jeff Carr, Australian Rugby League, just made the Australian side. I started crying. And I went, she goes, what's up? I said, I've just made the Australian side. And what happened, there was a one-off test that year, mid-test, against France in Parks. And Robbo made the side, but got ruled out because of a cracked eye socket. And Bozo said, I want that bloke who bashed him. And that was me. And that's how I got into probably the eyes of Bozo. But it was just an opportunity and I had to take it,
How good's that?
Yeah.
It's funny that everyone's got a little story of just how they arrived on the scene. Obviously then...
Oh, man. Well, the Manly thing, how that happened, and a lot of people, mate, no one knows it. I remember going to see Bozo and Bob Fulton a year before. I still had a year to go on my contract at South. And what happened, when I come back from the Kangaroo Tours, on tours, mate, you just get on the drink and eat. And mate, I put on that much weight. I looked like I ate a sheep. And I came back and I had a really bad year the next year. I was just thinking, I'm an Australian player now. It's just going to happen. Mate, you've got to make it happen. And Bozo got in touch with me. I was living at home and Dad goes, it's Bob Fulton on the phone. I said, bullshit. He goes, yeah, it's him. So I go and see Bozo and Frank Stanton. We're in this little, it was like something like where he had a chemical factory. We were in there, there's chemicals all around us. And Frank Stanton sitting there, he had no idea who I was. And he goes to Bozo, goes, how are you, son? I said, yeah, good, yeah. I said, you want to play for Manly? I said, mate, I hate losing rugby league. I really hate losing, man. I hate losing. And he goes, Frank, I told you we got to get this bloke. Anyway, I signed with a year to go at South. But what happened, they found out probably about halfway through the year that I'd gone to Manly. And South Sydney supporters, very passionate, as you've been to other clubs. And back then I still had the Spudd number plates, and they found my car, and they destroyed it with gollies. It was covered in gollies. I could not get the wipers going. They gave me a serve. They found out that was their way of spite to say, you bastard, you're going to Manly. But I look back now, man, I went to George Piggins. I said, man, I'm going to go. He goes, mate, you won't win a comp here. I want to win a comp. And I walked in there and I said to Bozo, who we signed? He goes, we're signing Terry Hill and Dave Gillespie. I went, cool, where do I sign? He goes, do you want to know about the money? I went, money will come. I want to win a bloody comp. And I then walk in and we talk about the game these days. I reckon you got to play a little bit heavier. So I thought, Bozo used to love big blokes. So I remember I walked in at 118 kilo. I could bench press dead set cars. I was benching 200, but I had the mobility of an ocean liner. I could not move. And Bozo goes, what have you been doing? I said, I thought you want me big boys. He goes, no, mate, son, the game's changed. Got to get down to 108. I went, shit, I was just there. He goes, you're training with him. I went, Des Hasler. And he goes, you're training with Des Hasler. And Desi's one of my real good mates. You've been fortunate enough to have dealings with him. I love Desi. He taught me how to train. Chin dips, push-ups, body weight movement. I got down to 108. And from there, from Manly days, I played for Australia multiple times. I played for my state and I won a comp. So, yeah. It's kudos to Desi, mate, because I ring him up, most weeks still to stir the shit out of him. But I love Desi because he created things, for me to work on.
I've always wondered that. So, as a front rower, he had a big influence on me. But obviously, he was my coach. I always thought, what would he be like to play with? Him as your halfback and being your front rower. Obviously, you seem to owe a lot to him. Yeah, I do. He just, the way he is and the way he talks and he tries to bring in. I love how he does the media, but he's renowned tight ass. He's one of the best. And you've heard the stories, but
there's two quick stories I can tell you about Desi. You know, he actually plays not a bad guitar, but he can actually sing a bit as well.
Yeah, I did know that actually.
So one time I said, Desi, and I've never had an electric acoustic guitar, and I said, mate, can I borrow your guitar? So I borrowed this guitar. So I dropped it back to his place, and back then he was living at Coleroy, and I knocked on the door, and I said, hey, Des, and it was going on dusk, and Campbell come out, his son, and goes, oh, how are you, Josh? He goes back into his room. Anyway, this poor kid's doing his homework, and his head's about maybe 4 inches off the page writing. And he looks at his dad, he goes, hey, Dad, can I turn the lights on? True story. He looks at his watch, he goes, not the big one, put the little one on. And I went, you're gone. You are gone. I made the manly day. I said, Desi being a tight ass, right? And another time, I found this old machine when I first had my gym. It was 17 years ago, and it was up the back of Manly Leagues Club. It was what they call the old grinder. We used to do the grinder, and then run around the block and 300 metres on the rower. Anyway, he found out I had it. He goes, I want it. I said, Des, it's going to cost you money. He goes, what do you want? I got enough for nothing. I said, I want $100. Next thing, Donnie Singe, his trainer, turned up with the van, took my bloody thing, right? So months go past. Des, where's my money? Oh, Spud, mate, I'm trying to put money together, but I'll get it to you, right? Anyway, about a year goes. My wife Monique's working on the counter there at Manly. He goes, boom, gives her a big thing of coins.
Oh, you're joking.
So I get home, Monique goes, rings him up, and she goes, oh, Desi's giving me the money. I went, how good? What money out of this prick? He's got no idea. I paid nothing, So I said, kids, come here. So I've unhooked the lock. I've gone to pull my hands out like that and threw them down to count the coins. They were drink tokens. Drink tokens. So next day I rang him. You're gone. Oh, what? I said, mate, I'm at the bank. You're at the what? I'm at the bank putting this money in. They're drink tokens. Oh, Spud, mate. Sorry, mate. I gave you the wrong bag. And I've never, ever got money off him.
No, that doesn't surprise me.
So, Desi, no, we do love you, Des.
We do. What was he like at training?
Phenomenal. Like, you've seen his calves. He's one of those, I mean, he's a secret trainer too. You never seen him
closet trainer.
Yeah.
Closet trainer.
Yeah.
So when we were at the Dogs.
Biometrics.
Yeah, he just all of a sudden, every now and then he'd start doing chins.
Yeah.
And, but we'd never see him train.
No.
So I reckon he's a closet trainer.
I guarantee I reckon he'd train at night time. He's just by himself. As he says, he's weird, so he'd do it.
He's a very strange man. I'd have loved to have been a flower on the wall for that year or so he had off.
You know how bad he was at home, bud? His poor kid Campbell, right? Before he ate, he had to do 10 chins. He wasn't allowed to eat. Want dinner, son? Do 10 chins. Says you let it go, mate.
Mate, the on-field battles that you used to have, a huge rivalry with Chief.
Yeah.
Can you tell us a little bit about that? Like where the origins of that rivalry, where it led to? Obviously, I think I read somewhere that you refused to share a room with him in Origin camp, or for Australia as well.
Yeah.
So just can you tell us a little bit about that and how it all began? Yeah,
it all started in '94 when I got to Manly. As I said, I was the side of a house, and when you're doing weights and you've trained all in the officers, you just want to belt someone. You just want to play your first try. You want to see how strong you are, And we played against Newcastle. They played like a reserve grade side, and all the main people up the top in the stand watching this game. And so they're trying to impress for first grade. So they'd run straight. I mean, it was like target practice. And I remember saying to my mate, I said, this is like target practice. They just bang, bang, bang. And this young kid, he got hit low, and I've hit him high. And I dropped him. Anyway, they reckon in the stand, Chief goes, oh, that's it. I'm gonna fix this Spudd Carroll up next time I play him. So the duels were always on there, 94. And then 95 come about when we had, it's when another level, we're playing city versus country. And he talks about, who is this madman? I'm giving him verbal. It was never derogatory, saying, it was mainly, you're going to run at me, a dog? If someone calls you a dog, you're going to run at me, are you? 100%. But the way we played at Manly, I look after you, Terry looks after you, Tubes, blah, blah, blah. Everyone looks after their own man. You end up winning the game. So I got to a stage there in 95. We finally, made State of Origin for the first time. And it was back, sort of in the Super League area. And we get the in the camp, and they put himself and Chief together in the room. Mate, I slept like this with my hands clenched. When you want to get get your mate and get in his head and give him a wrestle. Mate, it wasn't with the chief. And he actually said to the management, that's it. It was a one-off game. But that collision, you think back in 95, people still, mate, it's amazing. It still makes the highlight reel. If I did that hit now, I reckon I'd get suspended. I can't help he ran into me, but my shoulder hit him right on the chin, and he was snoring. But you got to think of the build-up to that game. The week before that, I'm actually playing for Australia against New Zealand, and he's my front row partner. I'm taking bullets for you, and I'm taking he's taking for me, right? We get the training on the Monday, same coach, different team. Bozo's into me. Oh, Chief's going to bash you. Oh, I hate negativity. Tubes, Terry Hill's spitting at me. I'm thinking all this. Game day comes. Mum rings up. Mark, have a good game, but please don't hurt anyone. Mum, leave me alone. Dad rings up. Get the first shot in. Just hangs up. We get the game. They back then the old Newcastle Stadium, they used to water the ground. But just the whole build-up, mate, warming up. We used to warm up, never go on the field. It's one of my pet hates. Go on. You don't need a massive warm-up. Stay inside the shed or go across the road, across the highway, which we had to do in Newcastle. And back then was the 18 or 21 mil studs going across the highway. Cars trying to run you over. This is in Newcastle. And that was our build-up to a game. And that I still remember the play was he did like a face ball. I didn't care. I was going to take the chief. We got into a fight, and he did a bit of a dog act. He grabbed my jersey over my head, and he goes, bang, uppercut, and he opened up a cut. Already had 18 stitches in this poor eye. I went in the sheds. He got sent. He went to the bin. I remember I said, mate, I need it done quick. And our trainers, get him on the field. So we didn't have time to stitch. It was the old machine gun.
The stapler.
Oh, mate. Anyone out there who hasn't have that done, go and get one and try it. It bloody hurts. Bang, 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 bang on the field. Then at half-time, Bozo goes, son, it's not a personal war. I said, Bozo, you can stick it up your ass. It's game on. And in that game, I remember as we packed in the scrum, we don't like backline play, and Hopper scored in the corner, and I've just given him like a bit of a crow peck in the back of the head, and he reckons that never happened, but it did. And he's then said to Joey, mate, kick off the Spudd Carroll, because my thing was always to take the kick off. And if you look at the vision, he's coming from an angle. Thank God on impact I've turned. He got me good, man. He got me spinning up 360. I hit the ground, and I was hurting a bit. But I remember all I can hear on the back of my head, my dad saying, get up. Never show you hurt, get up. So I remember played the ball, bang, I hit the bloke in front of me, and then all he was Dave Gillespie, now Spudd, now give it to him. And he was like winding me up. And the poor bugger was on the ground. He wouldn't hear a thing. But he said something one grand final day we're up there, and doesn't really talk about it, but they always bring it up. And he said, actually, you did say something to me. And it made the paper. And I'm thinking, I did say something. It was something wanky. I said, mate, I was standing over him like it was my prey. I was just like, like a big lion over his piece of meat. But anyway, to this day, mate, I class Chief as a mate. I got him to do his own chapter in my book, Spudd, the Mark Carroll story. And not many people can say they've gone to their nemesis to write a passage or a chapter. And I said, don't hold back. I want to hear what's going on. We should have done this years ago. But, I often ring up, see how he's going. He lost his parents. I've lost my dad. But at the end of the day, we've formed a legacy, and you'll never see anything like it. They talk about these days, mate, please. They come out swinging handbags. Who's got Louis Vuitton? Who's got the Chanel? Mate, when we played, mate, it was bloody brutal. And even the years before us was even worse.
Yeah. It sort of takes another person like that to really bring out the best in you, I think. And like by the sounds of it, obviously, your teammates did a pretty good job of winding you up. They knew which buttons to push with you to get the best outcome. Like without those guys pushing those buttons, you don't go to the lengths. But also not having an opponent like that doesn't push you to the same degree.
Did you have anyone over in England before you came over here?
There was a couple that I played against that I always
brought the best out of you.
Yeah, that brought the best out of me. And even then, people talk about the rivalry between myself and Sam. That was legitimately I trained harder because of him.
Of course,
because I knew like my team, the Bulldogs, or when I was at the Dragons, I wanted to own that middle of the third of the field. He was the best middle player in the game, or sometimes he'd play on an edge.
I got asked once if I was playing. I've been now retired. Well, I think 22, maybe 23 years. But if I was playing in the era when you guys, you and Sam were coming through, I guarantee you and I would have been like the chief, and me and Sam would have been the chief again. I guarantee you.
Yeah.
I wish it happened. I'd love to have seen it.
Yeah.
I would love to take. Like, I look at the way you guys play. I'm thinking it's my game. You know, that's kudos to you and Sam because. Man, I love the way you guys play. I just love the way they play. And then, the game, I know the game has to change. It doesn't have to change, mate. There's penalties now because you hit people with excessive force. Mate, we're playing rugby league. It's the most brutal game in the world. We don't wear shoulder pads. People still wear shoulder. We don't wear crash helmets. We wear a mouth guard and a badge on our chest to say we're playing for a team, and the rest of it's your heart, playing for your team.
I do. I know what you mean. So when you come out of the game, we were having a little bit of a chat about some of the injuries that you've sustained throughout your career. You can't run anymore. You've had ankles fused and knees. You've got the great ability to point round corners as well with some of the mess there. Can you tell us a little bit about what happened to the compound fracture of your finger?
Yeah, well, looking at my hands, won't believe I can still play the piano. I actually play guitar. But
that is quite the achievement to be able to.
I know. I only know one song on the piano. I remember I got taught as a young kid, but footy was my thing. I used to love practicing kick. Every light around Greystanes was broken from doing bombs, torpedoes, and just had to break every light. But mum would say, go and practice. I couldn't practice, but I still remember a song. It's called "The Entertainer," and I went on in a Stedford and I won that. And I actually played it last week. I knew every. But there you go. Yeah, Spudd, that was great. Play another one. I move away, but. My fingers, I've only got one really straight finger, but probably the biggest was the compound fracture back in 95. Any sign of blood, you could get what they call the blood bin. It was a rort. You could put capsules and all that sort of stuff. We used to have all the rorts going. Anyway, a guy called Craig Polamauna, and back then we used to have metal studs. None of these all the rubber things they have now. And I remember going back into the defensive line, and he trod on my hand because I tried to get up really quick. He did a quick play the ball. And I looked at my finger and went, I've got a bit of blood. I'll put it under my nose. I looked down, it was compound. It was hanging down. So I waved to our trainer. The sheriff come out and got me. And back then our trainer was, our doctor wasn't there. So they had a fill-in doctor. He's like going, and I haven't got time for that. Our trainer's going, get him on the field. So I just get taped it right up, and I'm out there playing. And back then, Steve Roach, his high-pitched voice back then going, that Spudd Carroll's a tough guy. He's had 5 needles. Mate, I had nothing. I was on adrenaline. But the adrenaline runs off when you finish the game. We won the game. I took that off, and my dad walked in as well. And here's this bloody finger hanging down. And within an hour, I remember getting laying in the hospital bed with what they call a wedge. They knocked the finger out, and I got the morphine, whatever they put me on. I'm having the happy gas, and the doctor comes up and goes, are you that dickhead who just went on the field? I went, hey, mate, yeah. He goes, mate, you're an idiot. You believe how much infection could have got? I went, mate, whatever. So I remember I wake up next morning, I've got this bloody pin hanging out of my front of my finger. It's my third finger in the middle. So I'm supposed to be off for 5 weeks. So I get to about 2.5 weeks, coming up 3. I knew he was going to ask me because we're playing the Broncos up there against Lazo, and we're playing against Shane Webke. Like, they used to be great players. And Bozo come to me, he goes, what do you think? I went, yeah, I'll be right, I'll play. So I went home, and I got pliers, and I pulled the bloody pin out. The nail still grows, but that's what I used to do, mate. Stupid things. I know. But will I do it again? Bloody oath. Bloody oath, mate. Probably the biggest thing I've ever done was back in 95 World Cup. It's a funny story, World Cup. And I had, like, that year, my job was just to keep going forward. And we lost the grand final. We lost 3 games that year, and we lost the third game was against the Bulldogs. But I just had to keep taking bullets, and Beaver was scoring like 20 tries a year. But this poor eye had 180 stitches in it, and I had a cut in it. And we were trying to, it was 95 World Cup. I'm playing for both country. Any sign of blood, you get taken off the field. I went. So I looked at Bozo. I knew we needed a blood bin. And I went, yeah, I'll do it. This is game day. About to run on the field. So I said, Sheriff, come with me. I said to the doc, can you nick my eye? Just where the stitches are, just nick it. He goes, no, I'm not doing that. I said, well, give me the bloody thing. So I just went, bang, and I've nicked it, opened the stitches up, and he said, bang, 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 put the tape on quite tight, you know, the head tape. And I've gone out there, and the goal was to do 10 carries in 20 minutes. So I went ballistic. We were in a World Cup Grand Final, Wembley Stadium against the Pommies. And I did that. And then the sheriff come out and said, mate, we went off the field. So we took the tape off, but it can, in that time, it congealed.
Yeah, like scabbed over.
Right? So all he had to do was go boom, boom, boom. It's hard to say boom, 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 like with his fingers. Next thing, bang, it's going down my face. Blood bin. So we did that for the whole game, tighten it up. Mate, my eye was a bloody mess, right?
Yeah, I bet it was.
So I remember I got back home to Australia and went and seen a plastic surgeon. And he goes, son, I've never seen such a cleaner cut. I said, mate, I don't want to tell you what happened. So anyway, that's the first time I've actually spoken about it. The things you do for your country, mate, things you do for your team. But, mate, we won the World Cup, so great.
Yeah. Just on that, in terms of how you used to play the game, obviously we've recently had the news story about South's great Mario Fenech. Is that a concern of yours?
Yeah.
I know it's on the mind of a lot of people like that played in that era, and anybody that's got anything to do with contact sport, it's hard to ignore. Yeah,
it is, James. I just think, I know the other podcasts you're involved with, the head noise. I love that one. There's so many things that I just keep ticking. Tick, yep, at me, tick, tick, tick. But, I've had multiple concussions. I remember, the one, especially ones when you're young and you get home and you're violently ill. You're thinking, mate, what's going on? Am I crook? But that's from head knocks. I used to have quite a few of those coming through. That's why, in some ways, in some capacity, I started wearing headgear as well. Because when I was 19, as I said, I played 5'8" until I was 18, 19. I was the captain of what they call Jersey Flag, which was under 19s comp. I had the best game I've ever played still at like level. Tim Sheens was there. I got signed up. But back then we were playing in what they call under 23. So sure, I was underage, under 19s, but guys in first grade, if you're injured, you'd come down and have a game in under 23s, get your match condition. Yeah. So you're up against some really hard nuts. And they're coming in, they're whacking you left, right, and centre. And the same hits you do when you're 19 weren't working on blokes who were nearly 30, right? And you get your head in the wrong way. So I started wearing headgear. Did it help? It gives you confidence. That's why I say to every young kid, I want you wearing a headgear. But that's what one of my things is. They should go to every school and give every kid a free headgear, right? And let them pick the colour, pink, grey, whatever. Mate, Jonathan Thurston with the colourful ones, mate, I want kids protected. I want them to play our game. That's just my thing. But with concussions, that rattled me a bit, mate. Peter Johnson, a good mate of mine, he was involved in that first hit that he's ran with the ball. He used to wear headgear as well, but he used to he'd run at right at your chest and put his head down. John was one of those runners. And Mario back then at North Sydney, he was a left arm hitter, and he'd come out and back then you'd have a good swinging arm. But unfortunately, he got hit quite a few times. And it rattled me, mate. As I said, I got in touch with yourself, and I'm actually going to see that professor in 2 weeks. I'm looking forward to just ticking the box. I know I feel okay. Dementia. He says, Spudd, if you had dementia, you have got dementia, mate. You don't forget any dollar I owe you. That's at my gym. It's just true. But no, you just want to tick the boxes. We played a bloody brutal game, and I just think it's great that you've actually, mate, you're the headliner of this. And like I said, if there's any opportunities out there, I'd love to do some more too. Like, it's just get the word out there, go and get checked, and just tick that box to say, I'm okay.
It's so important, isn't it? Because, as a player, you get so well looked after medically, but then you finish playing and then you're left to your own devices, and you can almost, you don't prioritize your health. So I'm not, for one of my positions with it is, I'm not going to plead ignorance. I know what I did.
Yeah.
I'm fully aware of, the number of concussions, the perhaps not disclosing the truth around concussions to, the medical professionals at the time, I talk about this in that podcast, being knocked out on a Saturday, like cleaned out, and then playing the following Friday, 6 days later.
Yeah.
Like I know, like you'd be stupid if you thought that was normal, or if you didn't think there was perhaps some consequences later down the track. So I think it's so important to get as much information, and then I can act on it. And then otherwise, I think if you're just unaware and you're reading the headlines and all the danger signs, you can convince yourself that something's wrong, and then it becomes a self-fulfilling prophecy. Then you start going, I know speaking to players where it's like, oh, well, if I've got no hope anyway, then I'm just gonna, I might as well go out with a bang.
Yeah,
and we need to prioritise our health, and one of the things we are going to push for is an annual brain, body, and mind checkup. So whether it's at Old Boys Day, we spoke to Matty Johns, and he had a great idea of just bottlenecking before you get to the piss up and the cheap pies and sausage rolls. Go for a brain, body, and mind checkup because we're great at crisis intervention. So when something like that, when something bad happens, or when someone's diagnosed with something that they shouldn't do, it's like the Roy Simmons story. We all get behind them. Like everyone, willing to sacrifice money, do challenges, all that sort of stuff. But prevention strategies would surely yield greater results. So I don't know about you. If you obviously we saw the Mario Fenech story, like you'd be aware that some players from your era are, of course, struggling, and the worst thing is they don't know where to turn to. Yeah,
but they're worried about probably the costs as well. I reckon the league should cover it. I really believe this. Without rugby league players, not our era, my era, the era before, the Ray Prices and the Terry Randalls, and then you look back at George Pickens' era, mate, they were tough, right? But any player who has played this game of rugby league, all grades, the league should cover the bill.
Mate, 100%. So this is my point. If we talk about looking after our past players, but if you really want to honour the past, if you want to honour it properly, have an annual brain, body, and mind checkup, and then that way, mate, it changes the whole story of something happens to a player, and it's like, I've not heard from anyone within the game. We're lucky that we've still got connections, but there's plenty of players that don't. It's like, oh no, I've not heard from anyone for 10, 20 years. Well, have this there, and then it's up to you to take responsibility, to book your appointment. You can track, almost like a pink slip for the brain, like we do it with our vehicles. No one wants to. No one wants to. When it's time for your service, you're like, oh God, I've got to take my car for a service. Well, I can't. I'm going to miss the gym this morning, or I'm going to miss work. I've got to go and take my bloody car for a service. Pain in the arse, all that sort of stuff. But the idea of doing it for your brain, it's like,
Well, I love to. If there's an opportunity, I reckon we should, in partnership, let's go and hit the league, man.
Hit the league. We are talking with them, but unfortunately, there's a bit of a reluctance there to
blockades.
Well, it's just.
Tell you what, if one case goes through, regards the concussion issue, regards court case, and gets ticked off and say yes, they owe you money, mate, it's going to open up a can of worms. I'd rather get done before that.
Yeah, mate, 100%. I think. In order to truly look after the former players, it's the least they can do, because everybody's earned it, mate. Well, they've earned it, and
without rugby league players, you haven't got the game.
Well,
you haven't got any.
Yeah, but they've earned that right to be looked after. I think. And I was only speaking to a former teammate of mine who's a pretty intelligent bloke. He's not in the game anymore, but he had a bad shoulder from it. And he said it took him 2 months, cost him about $5,000, 4 different appointments for a doctor to say, your shoulder's knackered from football and we can't operate on it. And he was like, I know. I already know that. And he'd go to his GP and they were like, what's up with your shoulder? Oh, I used to be a footballer. And they're like, oh, right, okay. Go and see. And he was just going around in circles. And in the end, he got told what he already knew. He's $5,000 out of pocket and half a day in different medical appointments gone. Well, and again, one of the things I keep saying, no one wants sympathy for what we did. Like, I don't want anyone to be sympathetic towards me for who I used to be. Don't feel sorry for me. Or if there's cognitive issues there, I don't want any pity or anyone feeling sorry for me. What I want is solutions. Yep. And I think the solution is a brain, body, and mind checkup, mate. Because you'd know there's so many of our peers, our former teammates, people who we loved, hated. Yeah, they're doing it tough, and even just for the mental health aspect, mate. Fuck.
I know. On the mental state. I've actually. I had an episode probably a good year and a half ago. I'm just sort of coming through it. I've had good days, bad days. I really have. The so-called pandemic. When you own a gym, and it's internal, and I deal with machines, roll machines, ski ergs. I just can't pick those up and take them to a park. So I then had to reinvent myself and go and make some money for my family. Like I remember coming, leaving home. I live in the northern beaches, so it would always take me 30 minutes, 40 minutes to get to work. And I'd be going across the Harbour Bridge, so I knew a spot where I had to go. But I'd be looking out for stars, hopefully, that it wasn't going to rain. When it rained, I don't make money. But there's the mental side of that. Like I know we've all got stories about the pandemic and what we had to go through, but anyway, it makes you a little bit tougher. You had to re-pivot and go again. But it'd be nice if the league come to the party. You talk about they got the mental league and they do wheelchairs for certain people, but the injuries you get from this game. So myself, I feel like I'm all right side. I was a right dominated tackler and ran as well right carry. So I've now had my right ankle fused. I've been to a doctor about my knee now. Spuddy goes, you're at 55, you're young to get it, but you need your knee. Your knee's buggered, But my other thing also is dental. When we're all coming through, you'd get maybe, the board, the hip to come off your shoulder, bang in you, and you'd crack a tooth. You go to the doctors, instead of putting a bloody crown, but they rip it out.
Yeah.
So now you're worrying about dentures, and mate, you go to a dentist now. I had an experience the other day. So I started doing this thing about going to the dentist and trying to get me, me Barry beef looking okay. So, HCF, whatever it is, bang, card, 200, okay, 200 out of my pocket, 200, 150. Then I go, the last one was a big one. I went, nah, it's declined. So I gave it a bit of a wipe. I said, give it another crack. The old Des Hasler story. Anyway, oh, mate, you've done your limit. So what do you mean limit? I said, I've been the dentist for so long because of all the pandemic. If I haven't been the dentist for 4 or 5 years, surely it backs up. And they went, no, mate. So you only get that limited amount. You go to bloody dental. So another thing rugby league did, you just could not. Who's going to miss a game for a cracked tooth? Who never? I never missed a game from a concussion. You talk about concussion, James. I remember we get to a stage where you get the half time sitting there, and the doctor would come home and say, "Give you 2 numbers." And he come back and goes, "What were those numbers?" I went, "You give me some numbers." He goes, "You're right to go on." How many times that happened? Well, it did for me anyway. Wow. And next week, just play on. Yeah.
It was just part of the environment that you were in, I guess.
I think it was a badge of honour not to come off. If you come off or you walk into the train, you got a cork, you're a softie. What's going on? You're playing this week. I never missed a game. Yeah. I didn't want to let my teammates down. I just didn't want to let anyone down. But I'll tell you what, didn't we play busted? Like the amount of times you look at your ankles now. My ankles, like I said, the amount of times you rolled your ankle, I'd live in buckets of ice for hours. I mean, hours upon hours, but I needed to play footy the next week.
And that's the psyche of the athlete as well. So when we're having these conversations around changing the game, it's important we bring the athlete in because ultimately a lot of us are wired up differently.
Yeah.
And they've got to understand that just because in the lab it doesn't seem like the right thing to do, you got to deal with that athlete. And what's the lesser of 2 evils? Sometimes you stop them from playing and what that would do, or you let them continue to play and what that could do. There's no right or wrong answer. Both outcomes could be negative, but it's kind of understanding that what's going on between the ears of the athlete, where it's like, well, I'm prepared to do pretty much anything here.
I know that. Yeah.
In this pursuit of victory, for this made-up game with made-up rules, but it's given me everything. Yeah. It's given me a sense of purpose. It's my life. It's my life revolved around this game for the best part of 30 years. And someone is flirting with the idea of taking it away, and you go, "Oh, it's just a week, mate. Just a week." Like, it's a lifetime.
It is, yeah.
I remember. I'm sure. I don't know if it happened in your time, but when players get asked, "Do you want to rest this week?" No,
never.
Do you want to rest? What would I want to rest for? No, I love it. I feel alive out there. It's what I live for.
It's like you roll an ankle, and they say it's a 3-week injury. The players these days take the 3 weeks. We play.
Yeah.
And needle up.
Yeah. Or you be.
My body was like a pin cushion by the end of it.
Well, I remember anytime you get a diagnosis from a physio or a doctor, 4 weeks. How can I get to 3? How can I get to 2? What can I do to shave that time off? Mate, it's 4 weeks. All right, okay, well, we'll see.
So many people like you and I think, didn't want to let people down. But, the game has changed Has it changed for the better? Yeah, I just hope, what we're speaking about, the league, I love to see the league come to the party, not just for the current players, but the players who have played this magnificent game, which we dream about as a kid to play for footy. Come to the party.
Life after football is a minefield for any former athlete in any code throughout the world. It's a very difficult transition. Your story is a bit different, bit left field. It
is.
Can you talk us a bit talk to us about how you became Russell Crowe's bodyguard? Because that's not when you're having your career chat nowadays, like they do. Like, what are you thinking about doing when you finish playing? Bodyguarding A-listers, I can't. Hey, maybe I'm being naive, but I don't think it's a usual profession people would aspire to do.
No, it's not. But it's amazing how you meet someone. In 1999. Sorry, after 97, I went to London Broncos, played over there in 98, played bad. I went over there thinking it was just going to happen, but I came back and played for 99 for South Sydney. And before a game, as I said, I was a little bit of a mental case. I don't like people walking into my sheds, and the first bloke I see is Tom Cruise. I went, what the hell's he doing here? Tom Cruise, he was really pretty, has really nice hair. And then Russell Crowe walks in. And I went, what's this bloke? Get him out of here. I didn't know he was. So after the game, I always had a cut in my eye, and he stands in front of me. He goes, how are you? I said, hey, mate, nice to meet you. And I love watches. And he had a beautiful watch. I said, I'll dig that watch. And he goes, oh, thanks very much. It was his first watch, Submariner Rolex. I said, I'm going to get one of those one day. Anyway, we exchanged numbers. And you're in the car, and your wife's there, and the phone rings. You don't know what the number is. And you answer the phone. There you go. I said, yeah, you go, mate. Yeah, Monique's going, Russell Crowe said he rings every day. Unbelievable. And I found it really hard to let go of rugby league. Have you worked that out? And back then, Monique was she used to look after the cheerleaders. So one game a year, I'd go to the footy. Russell would go away. And one game of footy I'd go and watch would be South versus St. George. And just to support my wife, I'm now, sort of retired. I am retired. And Russell would say, for the next 3 years, on that game, mate, you're looking pretty fit. You want to play rugby league again? And I went, no. Anyway, on the 4th year, I'm 36. And I see him. He gives me the offer. So I go home, I ask Monique. I went, yeah, I've seen Russell. He wants me to play rugby league again. And she goes, just go and play and bash someone, get it out of your system. Okay, right. I ring Des Hasler up. Oh, Spudd. Mate, I think it'd be a good idea. I think he'd be fit enough. He said, but mate, tell him you want to get into his network. He's going to ask you why. So rings up on the dot, 9 o'clock. Never on time, really, Russell. But 9 o'clock, what do you want to do? I said, yeah, I'll do it. He goes, but I want to get in your network. He goes, what do you mean? I said, well, he goes, what are you laughing at? I said, Desi said you'd ask that. I said, mate, look, you got a girl who looks after you. I can do all this sort of stuff. He goes, look, just play rugby league, see how we go. So my thing was, I hadn't ran for 4 years, 36 years of age, go and play for Aurora Valley Axemen. I know Sammy's just been up there. And everyone thought I was flying up in a Learjet. I was going up in the aeroplanes, the Qantas with the propellers at the front, and I watched the girls start on day one. Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, with that bit of paper for doing it. I did it for 12 weeks, and this was a routine. You talk about routines. So I'd go up on a Tuesday, come back Wednesday, go Thursday, come back Friday, go up Saturday, play, come back for 12 weeks. I could take my kids up there any time, and I ended up playing rugby league again. And I remember about 4 games in at Russell sitting down, we're at the end of the table, he goes, how do you think you're going? I said, Russell, seriously, think half of me is because I'm Mark Carroll, but half's you because you got me up here. But when I get my cobwebs off, look out, mate, I dead set started nailing blokes. We ended up making the grand final. Unfortunately, we lost the grand final. But the crazy thing about that, James, was we went to the presentation and we got an award. And I came down. I cry, mate. I cry at my own wedding. I'm like bloody hopeless. I'm bawling, actually. And I look at my leg. I said, why do I always bloody cry? She goes, have a look at Russell's mum and dad. And they're out of it too. And then she goes to me, what time is it? I look down there. There's a bloody Rolex watch there. He bought me the same watch. So what an unbelievable human that bloke. Oh, his memory was fantastic, So that's my favourite watch I've ever had. But I just was given an opportunity to, look after him. I went over to LA, and I was looking after his wife back then, Danielle. And he said, I've got this job for you. But the downside is that Danny will be flying first class, but you'll be flying business class. I went, you're kidding, eh? And I'm like, and he goes, oh, but there'll be good seats. But I was just wrapped, The only time I've done was on flying for maybe Australia. But I remember I'm thinking, look, I'm back now, James. I'm on seat 1A, and I kept getting up looking to see if Danielle was okay. No one knows who she is, and I just ate the whole way, all the way up to LA. And they said, mate, I've never seen anyone eat so much food. But the crazy thing about it was, we went into a shop. He closed down, one of these famous dressage places, and we go in there and he goes, "You bring a suit?" I said, "Yeah, I did bring a suit." And he said, "What size neck you got?" I said, "I'm a 50-inch neck." He goes, "Oh, bullshit." So he gets the guy, he's 50-inch. So we go downstairs. I get this magnificent long 3/4 length jacket. We're going to England. He goes, "This is for your trip." So I toss it over. I wasn't going up the escalator. I went, $2,500. I'm, gee, how good is this? I've got a free jacket. I then get fitted with a full suit, an Armani suit. And I come back it was about halfway through the next year. We're at a function, and I went with him, and he looks at me, and I got this suit, not the one he bought me, the one I bought to go over there, He goes, "Did I buy you that suit?" I went, "No, mate, no." He goes, "What do you mean?" I said, "I bought this suit before I went. And you won't believe how much I pay for this." He goes, "How much you pay for it?" I said, "No, it'll kill you." He goes, "Tell me." I got it from Roger David. Got it for $300. It looked unreal. I said, "Russell, it's how you wear it, not how much you pay for it." But I was then lucky enough. I went on. I met. He was doing Cinderella Man, the boxing movie. If no one's ever seen that movie, watch it. It's just so good. You see Angelo Dundee. He wanted me to meet Angelo Dundee. Taught Muhammad Ali. It's like, the goats there.
Yeah.
I walk in, but there was all these, I couldn't help myself. There was all these there was 3 ex-Olympian boxers who were doing the different parts. And they had a choreographer, and Russell's doing all these punches. And I just couldn't help myself. I started picking arm curls up and started training these blokes. And then he said to me, I want you to come across to Canada. I went, "Oh, yeah. Anyway, he gave me a figure of money. I can't remember. He gave me a figure. I didn't speak to Malik about it. About 3 days later, he goes, "You spoke to her?" I went, "No." He said, "Mate, I'm making an executive decision. It's going to be getting paid this. Malik and the kids can come over, blah, blah, blah." It was all set up. He's unbelievable what he can do. He just sets everything up. He knew where we were going. What a trip. We had the great Errol Alcott. Unfortunately, Russell popped the shoulder, and he had the same operation Warney had. And he had Errol as the physio. So he come across with us. But it's just, he sets everything up. I remember the first day we get there, we're staying in Toronto, Canada. It's freezing, -14. A wind factor about, must have been -30. And we had a gym trailer at the back of our place. He's got his own trailer, like a semi-trailer full of gym gear. Goes everywhere in the world for Russell Crowe. I'm like going, how good's this? So I was pumping weights. But he went to go and use the bathroom. It was funny. And the pipes are blocked, and he's blowing up because he couldn't flush it. And I had to bring up the security base. I mean, you have to fix this, done up. But I remember one of the first days we went in, and he knows everything about it. So we bought these bikes, and he goes, "That's your bike." And I went, it was a brand. It was called Cannondale. It was a brand. But it only had, remember bikes usually got forks, one? This thing only had 1 fork, not 2. It was a fancy bike. And he goes, "I want a better one than that one." So he gets this fancy bike thing. My one's $5,000. So, but the thing about it was when Russell would ride, he wouldn't want anyone to go past him. He was like a dog with a bone. And the amount of people, the kids would say, "Oh, look at this bike." And you can see Russell going, "Man, my bike's bloody double worth that." So he's the most competitive person I've ever come across. People like, you meet someone like Ron Howard, who he could not believe, because I had a couple of Aussies there, so I'm doing spiral passes, 30 metre, whatever, Because back then, they used to throw over the overarm NFL. And he said, "Spud, how do you do that?" I said, "Come here, Ron, I want to show you what I used to do." And I had pull the tape out of my ass of me and the chief having that collision.
Oh, yeah.
And he's looking at it, and he turned around. His eyes were like buttons. He goes, "You're not wearing any pads." I said, "No, but I had a mouth guard." Mate, it broke the seal. He used to take me out for dinner. I sat with him every day. But I know why Russell now got me over there, mate, because there was 150 people there every day. I didn't sit still, mate. I'm a talker, and I just used to have little. It was so good. It was so good. It was the best trip. And then I came back from there, and I sort of, mate, went close to, I don't know, the word depression. I didn't know what was going to happen. Sometimes Russell said, no, sometimes gigs are one-off gigs, and maybe that was my gig, and it was my gig. I understand now why he got me over there. But then I found a gym for him. This is how it all starts. And 9 o'clock in the morning, he goes, mate, I think you should turn this into your own gym. I went, what are you talking about? He said, mate, I've seen you work with 150. I think you should open up your own gym. I went, he goes, what do you want to call it? I went, what do I want to call it? Braddock's, James Braddock. Because the scary thing about James Braddock, is that when we got there, there's all old photos of this James Braddock. I look like him. I dead set look like him. So when the first day I had to go in there, they had to do one of my ears because they're a bit cauliflowered and my broken nose. And every day Russell had to have these ears and nose put on in the movie. Every day, right? And I remember the great, Angelo Dudley, take your shirt off. And there was a photo of him, like a silhouette, old school photo. And he goes, you are this cat. You are this cat. He kept screaming. I'm going, and I showed Russell the photo. He goes, what do you think I got you over here for? I still couldn't work it out. It was like a picture, yeah? But the crazy thing about it was on the last day, one of the sons is still alive. And he was a big bugger, 6'5". He was looked like big Tom Burgess and it's a massive human. And he said, son, has anyone ever told you you look like my dad? I went, I do, mate. He goes, kids, grandkids, this is what your pop used to look like. Wow. Fantastic. So, but Russell, he said, no, not Braddock's. It's got to be called Spuds. And he drew this font. And it was amazing. I actually didn't think we were going to talk about it, but that font on my shirt is exactly what he drew. And it's been there for 17 years, mate. Still going. So his vision's unbelievable.
So how involved in the gym are you? You're not just like a manager that's going to pop in. You're up at 4:30 every day. And how many classes a day, a week are you running at the gym? And why is it important to you? Like that, I think, we talk about that purpose that football gives us. Is this your purpose now to train people? That's your drug to starve away those darker thoughts, that depression or anxiety?
Yeah, good, mate. It's 100% right. I wake up, 4:30, 20 to 5 now. 20 to 5. How many times do I wake up before my alarm? My body clock's on. Not many people can say they like going to work. I love what I do. I've got some really amazing clients, together with someone who just pushes. There's no PC in my gym. I give it to people. Absolutely, I don't care who you are. You're going to cop it, and they give it back. It's good for them, get their confidence up, and then I just pull their pants down. But I'm so competitive still in my gym. Every machine, we're sort of getting certain numbers. We should be, because I try and get numbers on the dot. The gym should be called on the dot because everything's on the dot. When they find out about Spud's gym, are they still doing things on the dot? It's just getting numbers, 100 on the dot, 200, 300. But what that does, mate, it gets your brain thinking and working for the rhythm of getting the numbers. But yeah, I actually love it. I had this one kid, and this one scared me once. He was a massive human. He was 6'10". He was 17 years of age. He was 147 kilo. He's out the front door. His old man's out the front door. And he said, I'd like to see if his name was Max. Can train with you. I said, mate, no worries. I gave him a handshake and he gave me the wet fish and I grabbed his hand and I squeezed it. I said, if you don't squish my hand, I'm going to belt you. I said, look me in the eye. His head, he was down. His depression, everything. But I looked at his old man and he just could not look me in the eye and there was something about this bloke, okay? So I trained this guy for the first day. Didn't do much. Turned up next day. But it was like word association. I could not get any words out of him. So I said, mate, Max, what's happening today? What did you do last night? And he went, and we're walking up this hill. And he goes, shopping. I went, oh, okay, you went to shops. Where do you go, Bondi? He starts talking this in mumbles. But my legs were so sore. I couldn't lift. I couldn't get. I looked at him. I went, well, you're going to jump. I got shivers now thinking about it. All right. Wow. Sorry. And he said, he went like that. And I said, come here, you. And I gave him a hug. It was like a big block of shit. He did not want to move. He was just a big block. And I shit myself. And I rang up the guy from the commando. I never experienced obesity, depression. He was so sad. And he said, Spud, hit him with love, man. You got to hit him with love. Anyway, I did. He kept turning up training. And then one time I got a phone call on his mum, and I hate cancellations. My pet hate in life. And it was his mum. And I answered the phone. I went, what's up? I could tell by her voice. I went, "What's up with Max?" She goes, "No, not Max. His dad hung himself." And I said, "You need to get him here tomorrow. I need to see Max. I need to see Max." So she turns up, and I give his mum a cuddle, and he was part of my life for the next, 6 to 8 months. Turned up every day. I got him holding pads, got him talking to people, and lost weight, bought him his first car. Now he's got a bloody job, and he's moved on. But, man, that scared the hell out of me. Never seen anything like it in my life, but, wow, it's things you get out of bed for. But, yeah, it's that's one of the most amazing things that's ever happened to me, to get this kid through, because he was gone, mate. He was gone. It's just, I get I'm emotional. I'm an emotional guy, mate. I just, we're coming up to, the death of my father. My dad was a tough guy. You think of my dad, I remember in the room with my brother and my sister, Simone, and I said, man, we shouldn't be here, man. I said, my dad at the age of 21 was so badly burnt, 75% burnt, in a car accident. And unfortunately, his girlfriend passed away. But my dad, back then, those years, man, they had to change. They didn't make their own skin. They had to change, coverings and bandages. And you can imagine the intense pain that he had to go through. And he was a tough guy. He unfortunately he had aneurysms. He got through that. But unfortunately, he ended up, he just got a disease at the end which couldn't be helped. But thinking about death, it makes you, the amount of cries that I've had with my dad, you always think of the negative stuff, James. Like, I used to butt heads with my old man because, I don't know, man, it's just one of those things. I was always out there to impress my mum and dad, to play rugby league, and you knew, I knew if I had a bad game, so, what's up? You knew how to, so, okay, Dad, but this is always there to impress, But he taught me the art of, something out of my dad. I got a good ear for music. The crazy thing about my dad was, you talk about fingers, his left finger, he was a bass player, and he was a bass player for Johnny O'Keefe. He was a great Australian rocker. He played a couple of times with him, and he couldn't, with his accent, he couldn't play right-handed bass because his hands are such a mess and burnt. He actually taught himself left-hand guitar. Oh. Left-hand guitar, man. Like, so some people can't even play right-handed guitar. So my dad's, and I've always, he's always said, son, you've got a good ear for music, which, his dad, he's passed me on. So, yeah, oh, now we got this story, but it's just the emotion of, you think you can live to 100, but you can't. You think you can play footy to 100. I thought I was going to play forever. Like, how lucky are these blokes playing till 36, 37. I had to retire at 32, but, man, I would not change a day. Yeah, I would not change a day.
I know the feeling. It's incredible just to bring you back to that story about your friend whose life you changed at the gym. That's what it's about, mate. You make a difference, and it might just be something as simple as a gym, but it's more than that. It's more than that. There's like you exercise. There's so many physical benefits, but the mental benefits and that connection you can make with people through exercise is some, like, it's just, it puts you on a different path. Yeah, puts you on a completely different path.
Yeah, it does. There's people out there. Some people have trouble getting out of bed. You got to get up and do something. You got to get up and the old story, seize the day. Get up and and go and do something. And you feel, and as soon as you get the endorphins in your body, you feel great.
Oh, mate. It's hard.
Great. It is bloody hard.
It is hard at times in those days where you don't want to go.
Yeah.
But
I always think I've got a couple of little sayings, like my gym says, don't let fear hold you back. Don't let weather hold you back. Don't let rain hold you back. All these things, these things. I hate an excuse. But one thing I did learn at Penrith was the great Roy Simmons, and drink hard, train hard. It's a great thing. Eat hard, train hard. Get out of bed and do something. When you've had a big session, go and do something. Now, you want to put yourself, go and do something. Don't back it up. Go and do something. Yeah. And it's just a great thing. I've always had that saying through in life, And I've got to thank the Roy Simmons for that.
Yeah, he is a tremendous man. Yeah, I had a lot to do with Royce over my time in England. He's still a close friend.
Yeah.
As well as the stuff at the gym that you're doing, I dread to think where you'd be without that.
I know, man.
Well, it's very important to you. It's your business, but also it's not work, is it? It's giving you more than that, and it's magnificent that you get to make a difference. But you do have a role within the media as well. Yeah. I think in your book it says you'll call it how you see it, and you don't care who you upset in the process. Can you expand a little bit on that?
Well, I'm a straight shooter. Mm-hmm. Nothing worse when you see, there's someone out there playing and he's not playing very well, and they decide, oh, no, he's going okay, mate, he's playing shit. Just tell him. And if he can't play, and then some guys just talk a bit bigger than what they are, but I love the media side of it. I've also liked I wear what you're seeing here now is my kit for training and training people in the gym. But when it's my time to go on, Fox or do a talk or something, I like dressing up, mate. It's not as if I'm showing off. I just like dressing up. It's and I've out of that, I can go places now and I don't even wear a decent jacket. So, mate, where's your jacket? Whatever. So I like to wear a jacket. I've got I like wearing the old pocket square. But the crazy thing about the other one is a lapel. And I met through one of my clients a guy. He used to have this business called the Pocket Chief. So I went and met this guy, and I gave him all my suits, and we made all these different outfits. And I went on NRL 360, which is the #1 show, down the cameras, and I've got MJ Bale on, whatever. And I said, mate, I was dealing with the chief, not the chief, the Pocket Chief. Anyway, his business went ballistic, right? And then he sold it. I said, mate, what are you doing to get me a part of it? Would have been fantastic, but I love just getting my point across, James. I think, I don't need to prove anything. I wasn't the greatest player, man, but I worked bloody hard. I had to work really hard for what I had to get. Some guys are the most natural talent I've ever seen, and it gets under my skin. And I'll say it out loud. Then I look back when they retire thinking I should have had more of a go. And there's so many natural players out there. Someone like that Fafita who plays for Titans. Oh, my God. Wouldn't you love to have that rig? Do that 20 carries, not 8. Like, you know what I mean? Touch the ball. When he does, he's unbelievable. But I just think, we won't do it today, but I love to do it. Well, we'll do it somewhere. We've got to let our expression out. I reckon, and I've done it before, you pick one player you'd love to come against in current era. Be unreal, wouldn't it?
It's funny that because I get the same level of frustration because I was never naturally gifted. I had to work on my craft in terms of like conditioning, fitness, like skill. But then you get some players that they're so naturally gifted. It's like if you just put in, you could be anything. Like you could be literally anything if you didn't just rely on this ability and talent.
I read the same book, mate. I read the same. I just sit back. How good would that be? Just give me 1/8 of that.
Yeah,
just give me something.
Hey, you talk about in the media, you pick things up. We were speaking just off camera before. You pick things up.
Yes, I do. Well, my favourite is the Peter Sterling, how he used to hold the microphone. Some people like Phil Gould's a grabber and he puts his thumb at the back. Other people are low talkers, so they hold it down low. You've got these things I look at. But Sterling used to hold with his fingers apart. And when you put your hands together, if you put your fingers apart, so I ended up doing it. My good mate Damo said, do the Sterling. I was doing a live feed going back to Fox, and I was holding it left-handed. And looking back now, it's the worst thing I've ever seen. I've got hands like a crab claw. But they're little things I pick up on, mate. It's it's just.
What is it you pick up on Ashley Klein?
Ashley Klein? Yeah. Calvin Klein, I call him.
Calvin Klein.
Mate, how he got the job for the grand final, but anyway, he's there. I just wish he'd make a decision by himself. Last week, Coruscant scores a try. Mate, he's standing on his foot. That's how close he was. And he said no try. It was a try. But he has the brightest bloody boots. Why is he a standout? Calvin Klein, because I love aftershave. One of my other things is look good, feel good, smell good. I've got this thing.
I like that.
I squirt And I don't smell. I have many showers a day.
Hey, we better edit that. We'll just use that line.
No.
Mark Carroll, I squirt.
I do. I'm
Hey, let's just run that.
I'm minimum 70 squirts a day.
We're just gonna edit it out so it just says Mark Carroll, I squirt.
Yeah. Well, I'm minimum. I've got this thing about aftershave. Like you talk about procedures. I'm 70 squirts a day. It's just. I've got some good stuff. I've got some. The Beckham's the best range at the moment. $14.99 at Chemist Warehouse. I can do 100 mil I can do 100 mil in a week if I really want to have a crack. So have I got dramas? Yes, I have. But how good's that?
But Ashley Klein, you don't like his boots?
No, they're the bright mate. He's not. You're a referee, right? Don't stand out. He has the brightest boots you'll ever see. I guarantee you're going to start watching this. Okay, but I just want him to make his own decision. You got to give nicknames to people. I've got Nathan Brown, who's now finally got a start in the grand final. Arthur's finally let him in there. I call him the Energizer Man, double D batteries. Put him in there. I've got also I know you've got Brandon Smith. I call him the Demolition Man. Sorry. Demolition Man. He runs from the back fence. I love him. He calls himself the cheese or something. Calvin Klein. They'll do.
You're at the gym. You're all in the media. What's the next 10 years looking like? What's the future hold for Mark Spudd Carroll?
Hopefully more music, of all things. That's my latest the latest passion. COVID's wrecked us regards that, but we got together, it's got to be 2 years now. Gavin Robinson, who used to play cricket for Australia, they've all played. And we've in our band, we're called True Sports. So we've got 3 ex-cricketers, Gavin Robinson, Mike Whitney, and we've got Richard Cheekwee. We've got myself on rhythm guitar and vocals. But also, I'm playing with one of my idols as a kid, Eric Grove, Senior. Yeah. He's the other one. And we've got I call them 2 real musicians. We've got one guy, Andrew Dawson, plays every instrument. We've got this other guy called Steve Bowby, who created Noiseworks, who's an Australian band. Phenomenal bloke, right? So we get together. But the first session we actually get together, when we're in 2WS, it was where John Laws works, and we just took a couple of acoustics and we started singing a couple of songs. They're all covers, and we all looked at each other going, "This sounds unreal." And I had hair on the arm going, "How good's this? I'm going to be a rock star, you know." Anyway, over the weekend, I got in touch with Gavin Robinson, who's we call him the skipper, and he said, "Hey guys, just down in Melbourne, I've got a brain tumour. I'm coming up to see the doctor." I went, "Brain tumour? What's going on?" He had a brain bloody tumour. He should have died. So that curtailed us for a while. He has recovered. He is fully recovered. We're now playing. We've done about 4 gigs now. But what blows me away, James, is someone like Steve Bowby usually plays guitar. He wants to play bass in our guitar. He wants to be part of our band. He plays in front of 50,000 people. We play in front of 300, and he gets more of a hair going out loud. He just gets pumped from that. But the stories you hear, we get up on stage. It's a fantastic show. It's a 2-hour show, maybe 3 if you want to crank. We're on stage and we're all actually asking questions to each other about the cricket and I always ask Guru about Parramatta days. I'm a Parra junior. I used to love bumping blokes off like Eric Grove. I used to knock the whole street out. Eric Grove, bump. But someone like Steve Bowby, I knew what to ask him, but I had to get there because we're talking to a rock star. And I said, "Steve, I would have loved to have been a rock star, man. As a kid, I dreamt of it, but I ended up playing rugby league. What was your sport?" And he said, "I fell into the love of cricket at the age of 15 when I was addicted to heroin." Everyone in the crowd just went, "What?" And I knew he was going to say that because I knew the story. But that's what it was back then, mate. Unbelievable. And he talks about now he's clean. But what we do on stage, we only need to resonate with one person out there to help them. Yeah. There might be an addict out there going, "Mate, I need help." And that's what we do, man. It's just, and then we go and say, "Hey, guys, you didn't think we could speak. Now we're going to play music." Mate, it's the best adrenaline I've had since playing rugby league. I can't come down from it. I can't sleep when I get home, but I'm up wait till 5 o'clock. I absolutely love it. So that's my next 10 years. I want to really crank into the music. Regards to the media, I want to keep going. I want to keep dressing up. And I never want to lose the passion to get out of bed and go and train people and help them, mate. And, my competitive spirit Am I ever going to lose that? Nah, man, I hate losing Monopoly, so good luck.
Yeah. So just in terms for anyone listening, what's the band called again, and where can they see you play and talk?
It's called True Sports. There's a website / Facebook, True Sports, available for functions. So it's usually a sit down affair. But if there's a club out there that needs an amazing act, you'll never see it. There's no acts like it. And come and see the show because you'll be talking about it. It's unreal.
Yeah, nice. Get down to
so Facebook, True Sports.
Get them down there. That's awesome. I like people that have a plan, something to aim for. And you're gonna, when you turn up, I'm assuming you look good,
feel good, smell good, 100%. That's the life. You got to, mate. And if you don't ask, you don't get.
You don't get.
All these little things you learn as a kid, but they come through as you age now, like age 55. That's life, mate. Day by day, and take it on.
So, last question. Look good, feel good, smell good.
Yeah.
Go into your looks. There's rumours. The rumours do the merry-go-round. I'm in the green room from time to time, and when we're in the green room, you're on before us at 360.
Yes.
So we can see you. A lot of rumours.
From who?
Hey, I'm not going to talk out of 10 about the hair.
Yeah. Well,
we just need. Is it A, yours? Is it B, dyed?
Oh, you're a funny bugger. Yeah, mate. The crazy thing is when I grow a beard, my chin goes like yours, so it goes a little bit reddish. I don't know why.
Mate, do that for next year.
Okay, I'll have to, I think. But no, the thing is, this is my own hair. Yeah, there's no plugs here, mate, and there's no dye. I have dyed my hair once, okay? Over in England, Super League, bored in London. I go to my leg, I'm going to get my hair dyed. She goes, go and get it done. So I went and got it done. It was white. It was like white. I mean, white as, but it took them about 6 hours to get it white because it's so strong, my hair. And it was short cropped. Anyway, 2 days later, somehow my old man found out about it. He's giving it to me. Have you turned into, he gave it to me. Absolutely gives it to me, right? I said, Dad, let it go. I said, mate, it'll grow back. Anyway, mate, within about a week, I look like a skunk because all the roots started growing. So that's the only time I did dye my hair. But no, unfortunately, for all the people who think, yes, it's fake hair. No, it's not fake hair. It is my own colour. And thanks for the compliment.
No, my pleasure, mate. Thanks for joining us here on the Buy Round. I've really enjoyed this conversation, mate. It got emotional, but I love it, mate. I love a man that can is not afraid to show their emotions. And mate, at the end of the day, you're doing such a good job in helping, giving people the opportunity to be the best version of themselves. And a lot of people struggle. A lot of people go through bad patches in life. And one of the best remedies, I believe, is through exercise and being challenged, being motivated.
Yeah.
And,
I also think regards that, just reach out to people and see if they're okay. I know they've got the thing is, are you okay days and all this stuff, but it doesn't have to be a certain day. It's every day.
Yeah.
Just get out there and ask, mate, any dramas? I often say to everyone, if you need an ear, I'm here for you. But they're there for me as well. So it's
we have each other's back, right?
We have, man. But I just think for what you're doing regards to the mental health and the awareness of the HIAs and the brain and the concussion things, mate, I love it. And we'll get this thing going. But I'm looking forward to just ticking that box. And for anyone out there who has any concerns, just go and get a test and tick that box.
I agree, mate. That it's take responsibility for your health. The service isn't there. It isn't there yet, but there are services available. But it's just going to require you to do the booking, you to take time out of your day. You do it for your vehicle. Do it for your own brain.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. All right. Brilliant, Spudd. Thank you so much.
Good on you, big boy.